Oh my goodness. Today's video is starting at the end of my busking day. It's windy up here, man. This is the end of my busking day. I've finished. I played for 3 hours 40 minutes and I made £136.94p in donations. I sold 1 copy of my album as well. So I'm going to hand you to future me to tell you the story of my day and to go through this week's video subject, which is, how do you know that a music career is really for you? Pretty windy, man. Over to future me. Oh dear, oh dear. No, I haven't got makeup on right now. I have terrible busking related sunburn. The video clip you just watched is from yesterday, and today I am red, to say the least. Do as I say, not as I do. Always wear sun protection, even if it's cloudy. Ugh. Let's crack on with the video, shall we? I want to start this video at the beginning of the day of busking in Worthing, but also at the beginning of my musical journey. By telling you my story, perhaps you'll be able to relate. And if you do relate, well, then I think that's all you need to know about answering the question, how do I know a music career is for me? I didn't realise, at least not for a while anyway, that not all musicians feel how I do. Now I know that there are definitely musicians out there that do, but it was my assumption for many years that everybody felt the way I feel about music. Absolutely everybody that played music feels the same as I do. And that's not true. It's not true. And it's important to recognise this because there are a lot of people out there, gurus, experts, mentors, teachers, parents, guardians, who will try and advise you from their understanding of how they feel, not based on how you actually feel. And there are 1,000,001 people out there saying, don't make music a career. No, it's your passion. Turning your passion into a career can be detrimental. It can create stress. And suddenly the thing that you love becomes a stress and then you don't like it anymore. And this is why I think my story and conveying this message is important. Because I don't see a lot of people online talking about why you should go all in on your passion. Tell me if you relate to this term. Lifer. I recently read about it in Serge Tankian, the lead singer of System of a Down's memoir. He describes what is known in the music industry as a lifer. I think it's actually a slang term that comes from somebody serving a prison sentence for life, which makes it an odd analogy, but in the music context, it refers to something slightly different, thankfully. In the music context, lifer is used to describe somebody that is committed to music for life. It's everything they live for. It's the air that they breathe. It's the blood that runs through their veins. I've only recently come across the term, but my goodness, do I relate? My musical journey starts off when I'm 7 years old. I was 7 years old. I turned around to my parents and I said, I want to learn to play the trumpet. Nobody knows why. Nobody in my family knows why I said this. Neither of my parents are particularly musical. They're not musicians themselves. My mum owned a guitar and she used to play like cowboy chords and we'd always sing in the evenings and stuff, but it wasn't like formal music. It's not like my parents were musicians and they made me do that. I just, off my own accord, was like, I want to learn the trumpet. And my parents got me lessons, but it turns out that when you're 7 years old and your hands are really small, you don't start on a trumpet, you start on what's known as a cornet, which is like a shrunken trumpet. And I played the cornet for several years Until one day, just before my 11th birthday, I walked into a music shop to buy some cornet music, and I looked up at the guitars, and I turned to my mum and I said, I want to learn to play guitar.
Sit alone, watch your life, my only friend, teenage nights, and everything I had to know, I heard it on my radio.
Now my mum, like I said, owned a guitar and she could play some cowboy chords, but also her father, who passed away before I was born, he played a bit of guitar. And I think something in my mum clicked and thought, wow, like maybe there's a spark of her father within me. Also, I dedicated myself for 3 years to the cornet, and I'd gone to the music lessons, I'd learnt music theory, I'd learnt to read music. I was clearly enthusiastic about it, so she thought, well, if I get him a guitar, he probably will actually learn it because he seems to be quite keen to be a musician.
Radio. And all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio Good, Radio Gaga, and all we hear.
And the guitar was a completely different ballgame to the cornet. Although I dedicated myself to playing the cornet and I'd shown up to the lessons and I'd started doing some music grades and things like this, I was obsessed with the guitar, and I still am. It hasn't faded. The feeling I get when I play the guitar is exactly the same as it was back when I was 11.
We watch your stars on video for hours a night. We hardly need to use our ears, and music changes slowly.
I played guitar non-stop throughout school, throughout high school. I would wake up an hour before school so I could play for an hour. I'd play guitar in the lunch and break times in school. I'd go to the music rooms and I'd play guitar. And then when school finished, I would go home and play guitar. And I'd play guitar all the way till like dinner, and then I'd play guitar all the way until I had to go to bed. Obsessed. Absolutely obsessed.
Radio Gaga, and all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio blah blah, Radio what's new. Someone still loves you.
I used to collect a guitar magazine, I've said this before, called Total Guitar, and I would learn it from front to back. Every single month, it would come through the door, I'd learn everything in it. And this kind of set me up with this sort of fountain of musical knowledge, all these different bands and genres, and I became very obsessed with pop punk and punk rock particularly. I really loved the aesthetic, I really loved the sound, the crunchy guitars, the fast-paced drums, the hard-hitting but melodic vocals.
Radio Gaga, all we hear is Radio Gaga, Radio blah blah, Radio what's new. Someone still loves you. Chill out, watch it.
When I was 13, my mum decided to buy tickets to see a band called Green Day, and she didn't even really know Green Day, she'd just seen it. She'd just seen a photo of them on the front of one of my guitar magazines and seen that they were coming to a place near us where I was growing up. And one fine day in June in 2005, I went to see Green Day at the Milton Keynes Bowl. And that day changed my life. It changed my life completely.
Trying to be cool, you look like a fool to me. Tell me why did don't make this so complicated. See the way red like somebody else gets me frustrated.
On that day, I watched Billy Joe perform like he does, you know, proper showmanship. It's not just him playing guitar and singing, it's like he puts on a show, right? And I mean the whole band do. And in that moment, I realised that what he was doing is exactly what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to play, perform, write music. I wanted to stand in front of big crowds and play to people and share, not just sit in a room and write some songs, but share it too, you know?
You know you're not fooling anyone. You become somebody else from everyone else watching you back.
And thus started the plight that I have been on since then. Music has always sat at the center of everything I do. The decisions I've made in my life, where I live, who I associate with, you know, what I spend my time doing, it's always sat right in the middle.
Honesty and promise me I'm never gonna find it back. No,
And I went to university and I studied a popular music degree and I did all that, and then whilst at university I formed a band, and that band was Ghouls, and that's before I was ARP, that's what I was doing, is touring in Ghouls. Now during Ghouls I started out in that band thinking that we were going to be the next Green Day. We were going to get signed, we were going to have big albums, we were going to play stadiums. And to start off with, it kind of looked like that might happen. There was some interest with record labels, there was some talks, we went out to meetings, things like this. And we were very determined. Like, we weren't waiting for anyone. You know, we all bundled into the back of a 5-seater car and we drove it around the UK and we drove it around Europe, and we played anywhere and everywhere that would take us. And we managed to rally up like a small but loyal following.
Life's not an issue where you fall and you crawl and you break, you take what you get and you turn it into honesty and promise me I'm never gonna find it back. No, honesty and promise me I'm never gonna find it back, yeah. No, no.
The whole time I was in that band though, I used to work day jobs. Because touring in a band made me no money, I felt like I had to have some kind of day job, and I just used to work casual jobs, like 0-hour contract type things. And those jobs are quite easy to maintain when you're playing in a band or doing music, because they're punch in, punch out kind of things. You show up to work, you do your day, and then you leave.
Hello there, the angel from my nightmare, the shadow in the background of the more, the unsuspected victim.
However, on reflection, now I'm older and those times have passed, I do realise now that I probably could have been more active with making music a career. The trouble for me is I was so set on the band being that career that I didn't used to work on anything other than the band. I used to go to work, finish work, and then just write songs or make logos and merch or design tour posters, do social media updates. Like, everything was to do with the band.
I miss you, yeah. Where are you?
And as the band went on, we, you know, still grew and we did some crazy things. We ended up in America, we ended up in Australia. Some incredible experiences and some bucket list moments for sure, you know. Dreams came true through Ghouls, for sure. But underlying it all was always this like notion that I felt like I should be making a career of music.
Spiders catching things and eating them inside, like innocent they call you. And hear your voice shut trees on. You come home and stop this pain tonight. Stop this pain.
A little thing called YouTube caught my attention back in like 2012, 2013. I suddenly realised YouTube wasn't just this thing that you uploaded music videos to and occasionally watch like fail videos. That there were people making videos on YouTube and like it was making them a career. And as I saw it, it was like, well, if you record what you do and you upload it to YouTube, you can kind of make a living doing whatever it is you do. So I made some attempts to start becoming a YouTuber. In my mind, it was like I could become a YouTuber whose content is all about music, and then that way my job is music. I just have to make sure I film it. So that seed was planted, but again, I never really dedicated enough time to YouTube because, again, I was just focused on the band. Band, man.
You're already the voice inside my head. I miss you and always shit.
The trouble with not making music a career, the problem with working a job and then doing music as your fun thing, the main problem for me is whatever you do as a job in current modern day society takes up most of your time and energy. When you first start in like the world of work and you're probably working jobs where you just punch in, punch out, you know, you do your 8 hours and you go home, there is a degree of energy you can maintain to do a bit of, you know, your passion on the side. But the longer you're in a job, inevitably, especially if you're like a good person and, you know, you always do things and you do them well, inevitably at some point though, that gets recognized and they want you to move up the ladder. They want you to be promoted. And that means more money, but it also means more responsibility. And without ever saying yes to any promotions, I ended up being promoted just like automatically in the jobs I was working. And it started to get to a point where I had a job, a day job, that required a lot more energy and responsibility and also wasn't any longer a punch in, punch out. It was like, yeah, I had to be there for 8 hours a day, but also I had to kind of think about it when I wasn't at work. I had to plan things. There were meetings and I started realizing that I couldn't think of anything else other than this job. And although I wanted to do other stuff and I wanted to be making music and YouTube videos, like I couldn't juggle. I just couldn't do it. And the band started to suffer in a way because all of the band members were in the same kind of position at this point. And then I started to feel overwhelmed with the feeling that perhaps the band wasn't for me anymore. The reason I felt that way, now I can reflect on it, is because I started to realize that perhaps the band members that weren't me, the other band members, I started to realize that perhaps they didn't feel as infatuated with music as I did.
Say that your clothes been all cigar, 'cause I don't wanna hear it. No, it's smaller than
I'd always struggled to know what to do as my day job, whereas the other members were always quite set. You know, one was a dentist, one was a teacher. They were very passionate about those jobs, and I could never find passion about my day job because deep down all I ever really wanted to do was music. And here we get the spark. This is what you're looking for if you feel the same. It's like you can't imagine yourself doing anything else. That was me. I was struggling. I would sit there and think, what should I do? And I used to journal all the time, like, what could I be doing that could... But the answer was staring me in the face. It wasn't something I should do as well as music. Music was the freaking answer the whole time.
Smaller than I say, 'cause I don't care where I belong no more. We share not our no.
And when I think back to me as a kid and how obsessed I was with guitar and how obsessed I was with music and the fact that like everything I've ever done, like I said, it just lies at the center of it. I started to piece together the fact that I had to make a living doing basically what I'm doing now. Music at the core, working for myself, freedom, autonomy, creativity all the time, playing, performing, creating. And I started to freak out, and that's when the band started to crumble, because I saw a future where I played in the band and we probably toured and we probably went back to America and Australia, but it was never my job because the other members weren't interested in it becoming a job. And no shade on them, that's not their fault. I guess when I was younger, I never explicitly said out loud, I want this to be my job. And perhaps I should have been more intentional with that.
Never believe the shots tonight, the shots so misty magpie. You got a stranded bike, leaving the diamonds there. You flew by, but that old glimpse is not impressed when there's a billion stars in the sky.
And then the pandemic hit, just after the band split up. The pandemic hit, and it felt like the universe gave me a moment to breathe in deep take a step back, look at the perspective of everything and go, what do I really want out of life? And that's when I was like, music and creativity. I think all of the people I've ever looked up to, the Billy Joe, Casey Neistat, these heroes and inspirations of mine, they were all doing their thing as their job. That was their job was their thing. Austin Kleon, he's another one.
Far and wide, almighty planet to orbit, so far up the rocket. I stand awake for the little tonight.
They aren't people who reserved their passion for later in the evenings and the weekends. They're people that made it their thing. And that's why, middle of that pandemic, I just quit the day job. And I went, do you know what? I'm gonna figure this out. And yes, there has been some really stressful moments because of that decision. Yes, it is a horrible feeling when you're not sure how you're gonna pay your rent. But I always figured it out. And now I'm in a time where music is making me just as much as any day job ever did. I am now in a much nicer position where I don't have to stress about making the rent and things like that. But I'm grateful that I pushed through those times. And when I see comments online saying it's not worth the stress, no, it is, because the alternative sucks.
It's over now, and I'm a little bit petrified. Oh, what's the call? Might as a bit stuff right.
There's that quote that says, if you think the cost of pursuing your dreams is high, then you should see the bill for regret.
Searching far and wide, finding planet to orbit. Far and wide, I wanna scan it, explore it. Far and wide, almighty planet to orbit. So far out the rocket. So
if you are somebody who feels that call deep within you to do music, or whatever it is, it doesn't have to be music, there is the surest sign that you should make it a career. All that noise, all that stuff about, you know, don't make your passion a career, all that, it's excuses. It's rubbish. Do not listen.
another turning point, a fork stuck in the road.
If you're somebody who's in a day job and you're quite happy in the day job and you like that day job and you enjoy your life and you enjoy going busking on the weekends, that's fine, that's great. But don't then advise people that they should do the same, because they might not feel that way. And for a while that was me. I was listening to the advice of hobbyists when I'm a lifer. I'm in this for life, dude. I'm gonna be doing this forever.
Oh yeah, something unpredictable, but in the end it's alright. Hope you have the time of your life.
And that is the message for this week's video. That, and make sure you wear your sunscreen, kids. Damn!
Unpredictable, but in the end it's alright. Hope you have the time of your life. Oh yeah.
I just went on a bit of a rant there. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep showing up is the mantra, because that is how you make a music career work, or a career in anything for that matter. I also have a nice chapter on it in the book I'm writing, which is coming along nicely. I will tell you more about that in coming weeks, and in the meantime, make sure you give this video a like, subscribe if you're new around here. I can hear 7,000 subscribers calling. Can you? Use the super thanks button if you want to give me an online donation. Alternatively, I do have a Patreon page where I've just posted the first chapter read through of my book. In return for a monthly donation, you get exclusive content like that. I also have a CD out, an album. It's called Keep Showing Up. My mantra. You can only get it on my website. I do not have it on streaming platforms because I do not believe in that ethos. They're not good for us musicians. Like I said, I'm in this for life, dude. AugustRadioProject.com/shop. Buy the CD or the digital download. If you buy the CD, as well as me sending you that, I will send you the digital download too, so you can listen to it on your phone or a laptop or whatever. Thank you for watching this one. Once again, I make videos that come out every single Monday. I will see you next week. Peace, love, and happiness.